cut away the morning. So much in the mix. There's so much in the mix. There's so much in the mix.
Miabo si Mivoatra. Une émission de développement personnel présentée par Lolo Zonantenena. En prime tous les mardis et jeudis à 21h. La rediffusion tous les mercredis et vendredis à 16h. Chez Madagascar 24, UHF 48, c'est la télé.
Dia mbola faly miarabantsika tsiray avy indray manaraka ny fandarana miabo sy mivoatra, fandarana izay fampizarana ny tsara sy ny mahasoa ary fitombona ho amin'ny tsaratsara kokoa hatrany izany. Mbola ny namanareo Lolo Zonantenena ihany no miaraka aminareo androany, ary araky ny mazara zika dia manana vahiny isika ko dia androany dia Team McGuire no vahintsika androany. Tonga soa team, welcome to Miabo sy Mivoatra. Araky ny hitatsika dia vahiny izay avy any Dilambato no vahintsika androany, vahiny Amerikana. Ka ny fandarantsika dia ho atao amin'ny teny anglisy izany koa. Ny dikateny dia ho arahanareo eo amin'ny sous-titre ko dia manarahatra amin'ny farany an'izany fandarana izany. Ny vahintsika dia tompona orinasa anankiray izay mitondra ny lohateny One Planet ary miresaka indrindra ny amin'ny fizahantany izany orinasa izany. Iresaka isika ny amin'ny fomba atao mba ahitana n'izany hoe hery na hoe harena ao amin'ny toerana anankiray na amin'ny olona anankiray. Koa dia zava-dehibe ny fahalalana an'izany. Team, again, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And today we are going to talk more about your company, which is One Planet Tours. And then we will talk more about potentialities. How do you find that? And how do you work with your potentiality that you have? So now my first question about this company that you are the CEO, I mean, you are running. What is this plan, this company? What are you doing? And why did you do that? Why did you start the company? I mean, do you have any story behind this company to tell to us?
Well, thanks Lolo for having me on to talk about this a little bit. When I was doing my graduate research at Andrews University, I couldn't find anything that really interested me, but something that always had interested me was was wildlife, and I knew that there was a big issue with poaching, and so I ended up kind of getting into some research. And I ended up entitling the paper called "The Value of the Elephant," and what this looked at is how much potential value there was with an elephant alive versus an elephant dead, and the tusks of the elephant are worth a lot of money, ivory, and what I was able to find out through some reading is that between $30,000 to $40,000 US is about what a good set of elephant tusks would get on the open market. So that's the top dollar. But keep in mind that this is something that the vast majority of the money spent on those elephant tusks are spent on a different economy. They're not spent in the East African or South African context. Once more, the poacher who is responsible for killing the elephant, oftentimes labeled as someone who is this crazy criminal and stuff like this, they were oftentimes normal people, and actually, even after being successful at poaching elephants, still lived a very poor lifestyle.
Okay.
And so I said, well, what was going on here? I ended up doing more research and finding out that about 1.3 to 1.5 million dollars is the total amount spent for one elephant, for people to see one elephant, essentially. So that's spent in hotels, restaurants, safaris, all of these kind of things. It's a lot of value. But where is this money going? That's kind of how I wanted to get into it. So tourism seemed to be like the best fit for a solution to this type of problem. Instead of poaching, you should be a tour guide. That's kind of what everyone says. But as time went on and I kind of came back to this idea of tourism, I started to discover, how much of an incentive really is there for local and native communities. If there's so much money being spent to come see these animals, why are so many people still living so poorly?
Poor, yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
So it's like, kind of an obvious question. And so, I decided to do some more research, and I always felt like tourism had the most potential for doing good, but was it actually doing good? Right off the bat, I started, realizing that, tourism wasn't really controlled by native stakeholders. It was controlled by, to be honest, Vaza, or people in alternative markets. And so as a tourist, if I'm going to buy an experience to Madagascar, for instance, or Tanzania, or wherever, I'm not purchasing, my money doesn't go directly to the local context. It goes first to the international player. And so once I started doing some research, continuing to go down this rabbit hole, I realized that the international outfit, traditionally speaking, takes between 38 to 46% of the margin that you spend on your travel. So let's put this in context. So let's say, don't worry about the flight, because that's a whole other issue. Let's say that I spend $2,000 to do a 2-week trip here in Madagascar. Okay, so $2,000. Who am I buying that through? Most of the time, you're buying that through the international tour operator. Okay, that's just the traditional way. I'm not saying it's evil, that's just the way it's been done. So let's say on average around 40% gets taken away. That's $800. So $800 US of the 2,000 never even gets a chance to enter Madagascar. So we're left with $1,200. Okay? All right, at that point, your next trip, the next part of that trip is you have to stay in some hotels. But here in places like Madagascar, who owns the hotels that the tourists stay in? It's seldom the Malagasy, the native Malagasy.
It's mostly the foreign,
foreign, whatever. However you want to say that. You continue going down this, the restaurants, the parks, any of these kind of things. Well, what I'm describing is a phenomenon called tourism leakage. It's like a tap that just keeps dripping water. And all of the water inside that barrel is the potential impact that could be had here in Madagascar. But the leaks continue to go and fall into other places that are not Madagascar.
That's really interesting what you are talking about, because when you are talking about tourism is one of the way that Madagascar gets its resources. To make money from tourism, as we were taught, or people were telling the the Malagasy people that through tourism, we can make money from it. But as you said, it's kind of not really the reality, because even though we work on tourism here in Madagascar, there are just a little bit of amount of money, small amount of money that really go to the local community. And yes, it's surprising to see that those who are in the local community, that people will come and visit there, they are still staying poor. Not really in good condition as we are see in their area. So now, because you have seen that there is a little different idea happened, because we think that with tourism we can grow Madagascar, but we are still have those poor people in the area that tourists come to visit. So what are the idea that you come up with then to challenge these realities?
Well, first I want to challenge the idea that, you know, we earn an income or we get a job from tourism. I'd rather us ask the question, is it an equitable job? Is it equitable compensation? Is it a fair job? Is it fair compensation? I think that's a lot different, because just to have a job doesn't, I mean, it might help you survive, but it doesn't help you thrive. It doesn't help you build wealth and build a future for you and your family. Tourism is in almost all traditional contexts is a form of foreign direct investment, meaning that you know, we're investing in you, in the resources that you have, but we're also investing in the sense that you have no other option. So what other job are you going to take if I can offer you any type of compensation I want to, because you have no other opportunities. And this, you know, this is wrong. I actually hate this way of thinking. And I think from a business perspective, it has started to meet its end, because, you know, a lot of times I've traveled with you know, people that have more money or foreigners, and when they go to restaurants, for instance, one of the things they always complain about is the service is not very professional. It's very slow. People are moving slow. They don't attend to you very quickly. But, you know, you have to think about that in context. I've gone and talked to those people later, and you know, if you guys could do anything in this hotel to change things, what would it be? Well, we don't get paid a lot of money, and we live here. We don't get to go home only 2 weeks out of the year. So what kind of incentive is there for you to do your job really well if if there's no tiered system? You don't have any type of inspiration, you know, to achieve anything. It's just, this is what you're going to get because you can't get anything anywhere else. And this is kind of the mentality that I'm really trying to push back on, because I think that if we actually invest in the potential of local people here on the ground, we're going to get better experiences for tourists, and everything is just going to be entirely more authentic, and there'll be a much healthier, more stabilized economy as a result.
So that's really important to, when we are talking about investing in the potentialities of the local community, because when we are talking about area that people come to visit or people come to see, this means that there are potentialities over there. There are something important over there. But the thing is, sometimes we don't see it. And when I'm talking about Madagascar, sometimes we have hard time to see that the area that I'm living have potentialities, have this good part of it. Or sometimes we tend to know what we have in our area or in community that we have. So it's really important to open our eyes and to see if there are something that we can use to grow or to give some power in this, so that we can get some benefit from it, and especially to get involved the community to improve their situation. So now you talk about potentialities in the area. Do you find, because as American, you come here in Madagascar, and I know that if you come here, you find and you see some potentialities in here. Can you list something that maybe in your mind, just up in your mind, that you can see in the place that you are visited, especially in the south part of Madagascar? Because when you talk about the south part of Madagascar, we are always talking about poverty, kere, the famine over there, hunger, and insecurities with the Dal and all of those things. So now, as foreigners, you come here, we have already this cliche that yes, the south part is not really a good place to visit, or there are nothing over there. How do you tell people, I mean, to find the good thing in this area especially, but also in general way, how do you help people to see that there is something good behind a thing that you think that it's not that positive?
Yeah, great question. I think that right now it would be very hard for me to tell anyone that, because I'm just one person, and of course I can get some other people that can vouch for it as well. But I think more importantly, people need to see what's out there, and that's why at One Planet Tours we're creating a platform in which people can make their bookings, but make their bookings directly through local native stakeholders.
Okay.
So I don't need to go to an Italian, I don't need to go to American, I don't need to go to an Indian or a French person. I can go straight through someone who is Malagasy. And so people are familiar with Airbnb. People are familiar with Facebook. It's the same type of principle that we're building, but something that is just built around travel. So each person can have their own profile. If they want to just be a homestay host someone in their home and cook for them for a few days, we're going to have a place for that. If you're all the way to maybe a tour operator and you're going to put together some 2-week trip package, that's space for you also. So we're creating a way in which others can actually see the potentialities, like you've mentioned, without actually having to go there and risk maybe nothing being there at all. I think once we see this country, this world, through the lens of someone else, whether it's someone in the South or someone in a different country, we will have a different appreciation for the place we call home. So this is kind of where it's at. As far as, the South, I spent most of my time in Madagascar, in the South. The coral reefs, if you liked Fortifan, Fortifan was just a few days actually. But Andavaduk was just on the southwest. The most, I do scuba diving, Magnitiki is and this is the best scuba diving I've ever done. It was so beautiful. The hospitality, the food, it's an incredible experience. Very, very welcoming people. If we're going all the way, like you tell Naru, Fortifan, I look at this place and think, like, am I not in a Caribbean island that that should be on some computer screensaver or something? It's that beautiful. There's so much potential. Madagascar is one country, but when you're driving, it doesn't seem like it's one country. It seems like it's many, because there's different cultures, and there's different sceneries and different types of terrain that you can't find anywhere in the world, and you have them right here in this country. So there's tremendous amount of potential, but the most potential comes out of the people. The people are the most potential, because those in America, those across the globe, we're looking for authentic travel. We want trips that are completely authentic to just that place, so I can feel like I was the only one to have gone on it. So what's the best way to get authentic? It's not by traveling with someone from France or traveling with someone from America. It's about traveling with a Malagasy. And that is the type of thing we're trying to facilitate. And we don't need someone micromanaging or being the boss of this Malagasy vendor. You can be your own boss. We provide the platform at a 8 to 15% basically you can call service charge, and the rest of it is something you set the fee, you set everything else, and that's something that you keep. And it's just a way of you selling your services and selling your products. And we don't manage anything. Like, it's something that you're the professional as a tour operator or a host. If you need support, we can offer support, but you're independent essentially.
So what you're saying is that what you are doing is you're facilitating people, the local people, to have their tourists to come to visit them, and with that way of doing, it's easier for them to really get straight away from the visitors or the tourists to get the benefits from it, from them. And that's really important, what he was talking when seeing potentialities around our place. Sometimes we are waiting for some big company or from people abroad to improve our situation or to do our way of doing to do our best in our life or in area of the things that we are doing in our life. It's important to know what we are doing and then to improve it and to make it the best for the others. And especially what you was talking to, I like it when you have to travel. Traveling is really important because when you travel, you see different things. When you are just staying in your place, you don't see different things. You just hear from people and you don't experience it. But when you experience it firsthand to see the thing, your mind will change and even your culture will change and it's gonna improve. And I encourage us to go and travel and to see, and especially to see people. Sometimes we like to travel just to see the scenery, to see the landscape, and to go to the hotel and just to go to the swimming pool, and that's all. But it's really good to meet people and especially to know and to understand their culture. And even though we are in Madagascar, we have a different cultures here in Madagascar. So it's important to know the cultures of others so that we can understand them, so that we know why they are behaving the way they are doing. So it's my next question is, the title of our show is Miabo, Simvoatra, Positive and to Progress. So if you are talking about, if I'm asking a question, what for you is a positive tourism? What is that for you? If I'm just asking you now, what is positive tourism?
For me, it's quite simple. It's tourism that's controlled by native stakeholders. So it's tourism that's wanted by native stakeholders, and the vast majority of the tangible benefits that come from the tourism go into those communities. We don't need people filtering the money and passing it along whenever they feel like it's necessary. Like, the people that are doing the work should get paid for the most. For example, the local tour operators here do all of the work. They find the hotels, they find the restaurants, they find the park passes, they put together the guides, the translators, the drivers, the cars, all these kind of things, and then they sell that to the international operator. The local operator doesn't take very much margin at all. I know because I've asked them. The international operator, like I've said, takes 40%. So that's 40% that could have been in Madagascar. So, you know, of course, we have to see what happens, but just based on initial analysis, if we were to operate with this type of mentality that we're building, we could save 30% for the local economy here in Madagascar, which even for the government, that provides some type of incentive, because that's more revenue that can be taxed, that is not vanishing into another economy, into Europe or the Americas, and taxed there as opposed to Madagascar. So this is this is a system that we are in the process of building. Progress really just looks at being able to have those first early adopters. Of course, we have people that we talk to help understand the local context here. But when we finally roll out the platform and it starts to, at least the initial beta phase, and we have some people that adopt that, that will be like, okay, we're making some serious progress. Because I feel like if we can get some early adopters to show some others how it's done, there's not going to be any reason for people not to want to work with us. They can, of course, can continue doing whatever they want to do, but there's not going to be a reason for them not to want to work with us based upon the things that I've been told and have learned.
That's really really good, because when you think that we need to help those who are in the area, I mean those local people, to get the benefits from their area and from the tourists who come, that's really important, because sometimes it's the people, and naturally sometimes and oftentimes it's mostly those who are from outside who get mostly the benefits from the tourism. And especially for us here in Madagascar, it's now it's really important to get serious of our tourism in here, especially to make it more positive and in progress, so that everyone in the area, especially in the local community, to get the benefits from our business, if we call it like that, the tourism, and especially to help those who are surrounding us, especially those who are in the area that the visitors come, and to help them to improve also their situation over there. Also, I like the way that the tourism, you need to help this happen really, so that people will come and visit the local people in their house, so the tourism will be more authentic, not just a superficial tourism. So that's really great, Tim. Now it's almost the time that our time is up, almost. So if you have some message to share to the people who are working in the area of the tourism, or especially for your company, it's time now to share that and ask people to get involved in positive and progress tourism.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys as much as possible. We can send an email to info@oneplanettours.org, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, anyone, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And just reach out to us there. The people we're looking for mostly are individuals who already have some type of experience within the travel tourism industry. So if you're a tour operator, if you're a bed and breakfast host, if you're interested in opening up your home to be a host, if you're a tour guide, any of these types of things, we want to hear from you, because it's going to be completely free to sign up for our platform. We only take a percentage once you actually sell a travel package. I think the biggest thing to I guess think about is, this is, if you're Malagasy, this is your home. It's not my home. And just ask yourself who should be making the majority of the revenue and be making the biggest decisions when it comes to tourism in your home. Is it the guest, or is it the owner of the home? So this is what we're trying to do. I'm not a charity. I'm not trying to, help is I guess a nice word, but not really. I'm not really help. I won't even really use that word. I'm looking to partner with people, because I can't show people Madagascar the way you guys can. And if we're able to partner, and I'm able to find ways to get your voices and your experiences broadcasted on a much bigger stage, then, well, it's a win-win for both of us. My business does really well, and so does yours. And more importantly, socially speaking, there's just so much more potential for community-led development to happen within Madagascar. So this is what we're trying to build, and Madagascar is the first stop. It might take us a couple years, but hopefully we're able to put together the steps to building out something like this, and we're able to replicate this in other economies as well, and really change the way that tourism happens. So we just want to change the way that people see the world, not just the travelers, but also the local host. So that's what we're doing. So please reach out to us. Again, info@oneplanettours.org, or Tour One Planet on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social medias as well.
Thank you so much, Tim, for coming. I hope that the next time when I invite you to come, you will respond positively to come.
Of course.
So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Lolo.
Ankasitrahana feo ny amin'ny fanaranao hatrany ny fandarana zava-dehibe dia zava-dehibe. Ny fahalalantsika efa manana hery isika na le potentiel any amin'ny tsika tsirairay avy any ho an'ny firenetsika, dia manana an'izany isika, ary misy zavatra tsara zay mampangetaheta sy mampiledalenda ny olo-kafa avy any ivelany zay tonga aty amintsika mijery sy mitrandraka an'ireny zavatra izany, manana zavatra tsara isika eto amin'ny tanindrazantsika. Isika ihany koa dia zao hoe ilayntsika ny mijery sy mitsandraka an'ireny mba ahafahantsika fiarahamonina sy ny tanindrazana misy antsika ary ho an'ny tsirairay isika tsirairay any anatintsika any dia misy hery miafina ilayntsika ny mitsandraka an'ireny mba ahafahantsika mitombo sy mivelatra fa tsy miandry ny hafa hitsandraka any izany akory. Zava-dehibe ny fahafantarantsika fa misy hery any anatintsika, misy an'izay potentialités any anatintsika mba ahafahantsika miroso ho amin'ny tsaratsara koa sy mampivoatra antsika hatrany eo amin'ny fiainantsika tsirairay avy izany. Koa dia ankasitrahana ianao ny amin'ny fanarahanao ny fandaharana miabo sy mivoatra, maniry hatrany ny anarahanao an'izany ary maniry ihany koa ny hitombonao ho amin'ny tsaratsara kokoa mandrakariva. Koa dia mirary soa indrindra tompoko, veloma.
Miabo si Mivoatra. Une émission de développement personnel présentée par Lolo Zonantenena. En prime tous les mardis et jeudis à 21h. La rediffusion tous les mercredis et vendredis à 16h. Chez Madagascar 24, UHF 48, c'est la télé.
Crossed down the line, soil's getting dry, and we're all floating. Yeah, we cut away the morning. So much in the mix, there's so much in the mix. There's so much in the mix.
M24, la publicité.